everybody. This is Daniel Stiller from Better Rhodes, and I'm here with Brad Whiting from Wilderton. And this is another one of our Meet the Maker series. And I'm really excited to have Brad here. Wilderton is a product I'm really excited about. It's in my cupboard, and one of the things that really inspires me about the Wilderton product is that it is a product that stands on its own. It's not trying to be anything else. It speaks to the innovation that we're seeing in this space. And one of the things that we've recently seen is, this trend and drive within the entire industry of creating new and better products. And I think that's a really exciting thing. And really happy to have Brad here. Brad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Daniel. Super excited to be here. Tell you a little bit about Wilderton and how we came to be and what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. And Brad and I were talking earlier, and one of the things I was saying is I come out of the electric vehicle industry, and I knew that innovation within the electric vehicle industry wasn't going to come from Ford. It wasn't going to come from General Motors. I wasn't sure where it was going to come from, but I knew it wasn't going to come from within the industry. And I think what we saw was Tesla, completely outside of the industry, went against every single industry norm, but really redefined what an electric vehicle could be. And they just created a great vehicle that happened to be electric. And I think that we see a lot of that with Wilderton as well. You just created an amazing taste profile, an amazing beverage that just happens to be alcohol free. So I'd love to hear your experience, or if you could tell everyone about your experience in that innovation on how you came from an idea, how it was kind of rejected, and then eventually created Wilderton.
Yeah, for sure. I'd kind of see it as a hybrid path. No pun intended to your electric vehicle analogy there. But I was in the traditional distilled spirits world for about 15 years, and through that time, had the opportunity to visit distilleries around the world, big ones, small ones, and really fell in love with the art, the science, and the mystique of distilling. And when I left that industry back in 2018 and was looking to do something new and on my own, and wanted to move into this non-alc space, it was really interesting. It was an eye-opening in that while I knew and had all these connections to traditional distillers, when I went to them with this idea of using distillation to make a non-alc product, 201, they all just looked at me and said, "Why are you coming to us? We make alcohol."
Yeah.
And I said, "No, you use distillation and your experience with distillation and your experience with botanical, your experience with ingredients to make a beautiful product." And they just couldn't disconnect the alcohol part from the craft of distillation. And so, um, as the world often works out, I ended up finding the perfect partner right in my backyard here in Portland, Oregon, um, at a facility and with a gentleman who had come out of the tea making world, out of the kombucha world, and out of some esoteric botanical spirits. And he immediately sort of grasped exactly what I was coming to was,
Yeah.
let's use an existing kind of skill set, tweak it with a new perspective to deliver something that is inspired by spirits, but not beholden to spirits. And again, I think as we were looking at exactly what we wanted to deliver in a liquid, um, over my career, I had gained such an affinity and respect for traditional spirits categories, whether that be cognac or tequila or
Hmm.
rum. Those spirits in those categories evolved over centuries to be what they
Yeah.
are for why they are made the way they're made.
Hmm.
So for us, we thought it would frankly do a little disrespect to those categories to try to emulate them. We rather wanted to say, let's look at the botanical library out there. Let's look at ones that maybe haven't traditionally been used in spirits. Maybe it's because they are better at water extraction versus ethanol extraction. That gets a little bit into into our production details, but really look at putting botanicals together in a new way to create a drinking experience that would may remind you of spirits, but again isn't going to be mistaken for anything on your back.
Yeah, and you used a term before that it was informed by the spirits world, but not defined by it. And I think that's really important. And it's the experience in the glass. It's how you enjoy it. And as you were saying that, I had the opportunity to have dinner with Laura Taylor from Mingle, and we had ordered. She went to order. We're at the bar, and she went to order a non-alcoholic drink, and the bartender was kind of like, "Oh, what do you mean we don't? This is a bar. We don't serve non-alcoholic." But what he was missing the point was, well, your job isn't to serve alcohol. Your job is to communicate, to entertain, to engage. It just so happens that you serve alcohol, and it's the same thing with what's in the glass. It's that the sophistication, that experience, and it just in most of the cases in history, it just so happened to include alcohol.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that whether you're a bar professional or you're at home and you're having friends over, it's about hospitality and it's about providing an experience in a glass to anybody who walks through your front door that's going to exceed their expectations, whether they happen to like alcohol or not. And frankly, to not have elevated non-alcoholic opportunities is just a disservice to a portion of your clientele or your friends, depending what your perspective
No,
is.
absolutely. I think that's such an important thing that it's really, it's about community as well. Like how do we engage everyone in the community? How do we make everyone feel welcome? And I think about this from my own friend group. I know lots of people who I'm either before I'd either be serving Diet Coke or ginger ale to, or worse, they just didn't come. Right? They
Mm.
just because it was too much of a hassle to explain or too much. They didn't want to answer questions, but now, if I can engage them with a sophisticated product that suits everybody, I think it's amazing. And when you were talking about expectations, I find it, and we've had this conversation before, but fascinating around the decision not to treat earthen, because I experience earthen and I compare it, if anything, to a whiskey. Why you decided not to make it a brown liquid as most people would associate with the whiskey.
Well, I mean, for us, to your point, when we started out, it was less about mimicking or emulating an existing category
Mm-hmm.
and more about looking at different botanical combinations we could bring together to create really complex layered experiences. And where we started out with the first two expressions is luster is very bright and citrusy and feels kind of like summer in a glass.
Mm-hmm.
Earthen, to your point, is smoky and spicy and sort of deep and sultry. And again, I think consumers need some reference point. So earthen feels more like a whiskey. Luster might feel more like a gin,
Mm-hmm.
even if the exact flavor components in there don't directly correlate to those categories. Um, and I guess to your specific question about earthen, we very intentionally, everything that goes in there as an ingredient is for the reason of what it tastes and smells like. We really didn't see there was a point in us, frankly, coloring a product
Mm-hmm.
to make it feel like something else when that wasn't our goal at the
Yeah.
outset.
No, I love that. If it doesn't serve a purpose, then why should it be there?
Indeed.
That's we've spent a little time talking about earthen, but I think luster and the way you describe it and when you taste it, there is definitely a brightness to it. A refreshing aspect to it, and I totally imagine it on a summer day, kind of outside, and I'm looking forward to sunnier days, even though
Aren't
where
we
I
all?
am in
Aren't we
Scottsdale, it's
all?
not that bad. But yeah, it's what is it, the second day of spring now? So um, now you mentioned our first two expressions. That's pretty intriguing.
Well, if you're leading into what's coming next, so our distiller, Seth O'Malley, is the gentleman who I worked with to put all this together. He's our distiller on staff. I think we're one of the very few non-alc spirits that actually have a distiller making our own product.
Wow.
Frankly, right now in our early days, we just launched in November. It's all I can do to keep Seth from coming up with the next few things, but for now, we're really focusing on introducing as many people as possible to Wilderton and Earthen. So
Okay, well, fantastic. So that's just a teaser, and I appreciate
you
that.
guys will be the first to know, Danielle.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure our customers and followers appreciate that as well. Brad, thank you very much for your time today, and really excited for people to give Wilderton a try, both Luster and Earthen. Amazing products. I think you'll really enjoy them. Brad, thanks again.
Yeah, Daniel, thanks for the invite. Really
Okay.
appreciated it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We'll talk to you later.